Welcome to Tiger Chainsaw Interviews. These exclusive interviews will give you a behind-the-scenes retrospective mixed in with some amazing secrets of your favorite games and franchises by the developers and creators of them. Now, if I have filmed the interview, you'll be able to watch it. Otherwise, it's a phone interview, so just sit back and relax. Now, I have done some incredible exclusive interviews with some amazing gaming legends in this community. So hit that sub button to make sure you don't miss any of those interviews. All right, let's get to our interview of the day. Today, my guest was a friendly and enthusiastic voice that my generation heard over and over when they played video games in the 90s. My guest is John Hulaton. That's correct, the voice of Wave Race 64.
Maximum power!
John is going to be sharing some interesting stories from his time working with Nintendo to create the voice of the cheery announcer for Wave Race 64, and you are not going to want to miss how Nintendo wanted him to sound. John, thank you so much for joining me today, and as the audience should know, you are actually joining us from Japan, so that makes this interview even more special. John, I want to ask you, what got you into voice acting, and how did you get into the video game industry?
Well, I came here as a musician after I graduated from university. And I used to announce our opening act. Everybody said I had a good voice, you should try being an announcer. So I became an announcer. I quit being a musician and just became an announcer. And as far as I wasn't really good at speaking in front of a crowd, but I was really good at reading. So my friends told me, you should be a voiceover. Okay. And that was it. And as far as gaming was concerned, that was just a gig. I didn't know what I was doing.
So how were you approached to becoming the announcer for Wave Race 64? What were your initial thoughts on being approached for this project?
I didn't know what in the world they wanted. A friend of mine in my agency said, we've got a gig for you from another agency. Oh, okay. And then, so I met the president of the other agency, and she said, I got to take you out to Kyoto. We were in Osaka at the time. Yeah, sure. So we went out to Kyoto, and we went to the Nintendo factory. Nintendo plant, the headquarters. He says, okay, you're going to be announcing for a game. What game? Wave Race 64. What's that? So I didn't know anything about it. And he said, okay. So they took me to the studio, and I met all the people there. And he said, okay, here's the script. Go in the booth. Go for it. And that was it. That was my audition. They just recorded it and used it.
Wow, what a killer audition. Well, John, you have a strong voice. I can hear it coming through the interview right now. I can easily see how you got into voice acting. It's funny though, John, how they approached you. It sounds like it was pretty cut and dry. How long did it take you to complete your role? Was it just one day?
Well, most times they hire voiceovers here by the hour. We don't get an hourly rate. We just get a flat rate, but they hire us by the hours. So 1 hour is so many tens of thousands of yen. Okay. And they said, we want to hire you for 3 hours. Okay. And they said, well, here's the script. This is 16 pages. Are you sure 3 hours is enough? He says, yeah. This will be fine. All you have to do is do about 5 takes each line. And they were triple spaced, so it wasn't so bad. And it ended up taking about an hour and a half.
So you mentioned that you did about 5 takes for each line. Were you always the enthusiastic, energetic announcer, or did you do different takes where you had different tones? How did that all work?
They said, we want someone who sounds high on speed. Okay, I can do that. that was the direction. And believe me, those people in there at Nintendo at the time, like, who's that guy?
Miyamoto?
Miyamoto. He came in. He came in, looked at the booth, and walked out. That was it. Then they had the game programmer. He was the one giving the direction in Japanese. And then he said, and I couldn't understand him, not because he was speaking Japanese, it was because he was mumbling. So they had one of the other guys, one of the studio guys, was interpreting for him. So this guy's speaking Japanese to this other Japanese guy who was speaking in Japanese to me. And that was it. Okay, what does he want? Okay, this, he wants this. Okay. So I did that. All right, that's good. He says that's good.
And that was that. Was the programmer who you were talking about named Hiroshi?
Probably. I don't know. I mean, when we introduced ourselves, I didn't have a name card, so they didn't really know my name. And they didn't give me any name cards. They just bowed and said, okay, hit the booth. So, all right. So I went in there and did what I had to do. You know, it's not some sort of magical process. They just tell you, go, and you go.
Do you have a favorite line from Wave Race 64?
Yeah, I always thought nothing special was kind of funny. Just like, what in the world was this? All right, how do you want me to say this? Just say it like, too bad. Okay, nothing special.
Now, this next question is pretty humbling, but John, your voice is one of the most iconic voices in video games, and it's created so many memories for a generation of gamers. So many people played Wave Race 64, and your voice is associated with that game. Is it weird hearing your own voice? And then, how does it feel to be recognized by your voice, and to know that so many people have nostalgia for it?
To tell you the truth, I never received any notoriety for it until last year. Yeah, nobody knew I did Wave Race 64 here. At least around me, my peers. My son's friends say, oh, we know your dad from Wave Race 64. But that was a generation before, that game was a generation before this. So nobody really knew me. And I'll tell you another story about Wave Race 64. They said, okay, here's 5 pages of whatever to read. By the way, can you read this page too? Okay. And that was for the announcer of the Japanese Mario Kart. So I did 2 games in one session. And they didn't pay me for Mario Kart. So like, what?
Jeez, they were just sneaking in the projects.
Yeah, that was really funny. And then they misspelled my name on Mario Kart. And so
Boy, they just can't seem to get anything right. John, is it weird hearing your own voice in these games, or are you used to it by now?
I'm kind of used to it. One time my son and I were in Las Vegas. My family went to Las Vegas in 2001. And because my son was about 8 years old, he couldn't go into the gambling places, right? So his mother wanted to gamble. So I took my son to the video game center. And there was this weird fishing game. And he put a coin in the fishing game. And all of a sudden my voice came on. It says, Daddy, that's you. I said, yeah, that's right. I remember doing that. I mean, that was only 3 months ago. Gee. But a lot of the times when they have me voice games, I don't know what game I'm voicing. I see the picture of the character. They tell me what they want me to say, how they want me to say it. And after that, don't say anything about this. And tell me to go home. That's it. That's the game. You asked me about studios, about what kind of studios were there, what kind of setup there was.
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo. had the best studio of all the game companies. They had a great Neumann mic. They had a booth that multiple people could stand in. They had like a real mixing board, and real studio equipment. It looked great. Like I said, the best out of all the game companies.
Sounds like a great studio. Have you ever done voice work outside of the video game industry? Any cartoons or any commercials?
My work usually involves technical videos. I explain Japan's latest technology in videos. I just did a video for Mitsubishi Electric, where they're explaining how they make semiconductor chips.
Wow.
Those are the kind of videos I narrate usually.
Wow, so I guess Wave Race 64 was a little bit different from what you do now. You have such a diverse voice, though, from where you can do really fun and cheery video games, and then you can do educational and formal videos. That's really diverse.
They have me do every single kind of genre I can think of. Like the other day, yesterday, the day before. The day before was a video about the Japanese art form called No. N-O-H, No. So it's like pre-kabuki. And they wanted a low voice and quiet things. And it's totally on me, you know. But yeah, okay. I just, if they think I can do it, I probably can. I don't know.
John, did you ever play Wave Race 64? And if so, are you any good at it?
I'm not good at it, but just to get warmed up for this interview, my son and I played it last night.
Nice.
Just to see what the hell I said. I don't remember. That was what,
96
or something?
Yeah.
You know, I had hair then. I just don't remember. The woman on Wave Race, we worked for a radio station together, FM 802. They're about the biggest radio station in Osaka. And I was reading news at the time. And she was another newscaster. She was, I think she was graveyard shift. I'm not sure. Yeah, she was graveyard shift. They liked her. They spoke English. She recommended me to that voiceover talent agency, and that's how I got the gig. I think. Yeah, that's how. Then my agency said, "Okay, you go." Okay, I go.
John, it sounds like you're still in the voice acting industry and still working. Are you working on any other projects? And outside of work, what type of hobbies do you have?
My hobbies tend to turn into work. Like I had a hobby of playing guitar, and so that turned into work. I started playing guitar on gigs, and I started writing music. That turned into work. I started writing music for commercials. So now I'm working out. That's my hobby. I'm working out. I'm hoping that doesn't turn into a job.
John, thank you so much for your time today. It really was a treat to talk to you and learn the voice recording process for Wave Race 64 and to hear your memories from this game. John, thank you so much. Now, to the audience, I want to let you guys know this was one of my favorite interviews, as John was truly genuine and just excited to talk to me about anything. In fact, after the interview, which lasted about 40 minutes, John and I just talked for 2 hours about everything in our lives, from traveling to Japan to our own hobbies to what the future holds for each of us. John was truly a treat to talk to. So again, John, thank you. And of course, thank you, the listener, for tuning in. If you love exclusive interviews with game creators and game developers, make sure you hit that sub button to watch and listen to plenty of more interviews that I have coming up.